Harvard Law professor Howard Lessig, who you may recall ran for president, has offered free legal advice and representation to the electors from the Electoral College should they decide to change their votes on Monday the 19th. So far, Professor Lessig says he's aware of as many as 20 electors who may flip. 17 more, and Mr. Trump may not be heading to the White House. This is We the People. Now, before you celebrate Trump's defeat, because I seriously have my doubts that the Electoral College will overturn the election, Trump may still not end up as president, or at least not for very long. It is possible that this whole thing is a setup. Is it possible that it's just a con job? That not only we have been duped, but so has Donald Trump? I want to take a moment to just toss out a scenario, so bear with me on this. There has been a great deal of speculation about the difficulties in Trump's business while he holds office. And no matter what he says, we all know he isn't going to walk away from his businesses. His entire self-worth is based in Trump International. Being president isn't good enough for this man. He needs to be both. He needs to be Super Trump. And in fact, he believes he can have both. Now, legally, he can. There is no law which prevents a sitting president actively from having a personal business on the side. Now, you can say that his business is different, and when you consider its international reach and the fact that just the other day it was reported by Newsweek that Turkey may be working a little blackmail scheme on Trump to get a certain Muslim extradited from the United States. But that's a completely different story, so go by Newsweek on that one. Let me lay this scenario out for you. And it begins and it ends 3 blocks from the White House. Now, there is no law which specifically prevents a president from having a business interest while in the White House, but there is this thing called the Emollients Clause, and this is where it gets tricky for Trump. I'm going to paraphrase this for you, but the Emollients Clause basically states that an elected official, including a president, cannot benefit financially from his office. Now, how does this affect Trump? Well, you see, 3 blocks away from the White House, there's this building which was once the old Washington Post Office, and it is now a Trump hotel. And here's where things get sticky for old Donnie Boy. This hotel is not actually owned by Trump. He literally leases it from the federal government. That's right. On January 21st, Trump will, in effect, be literally leasing a building from himself. He would be his own landlord. And he would control the department that would in effect make the rules for this lease. But again, let's not get off the track. Now, the GSA is the General Services Administration. This is the government organization which oversees federal land and property leases. They set the rules, they sign the contracts, they make all the judgments which pertain to these properties, like the old post office, which is now a Trump hotel. And this is where it gets intriguing. The wording of the lease on the contract that old Donnie signed when he took over control of the property reads, and I quote, "No elected official of the government of the United States shall be admitted to any share or part of this lease, or to any benefit that may arise therefrom." End quote. And there it is. That's the line which will either end Trump's ownership of the hotel in D.C. or it will end his presidency. If he maintains his interest or even his children's interest in the D.C. property, he will be in violation of not only the emollients clause to the Constitution, he will also be in violation of his lease on that property. Now, how will this play out? One of three ways. The first one, the GSA could release a statement that upon Trump taking office, that they will immediately void the lease, and Trump will lose untold millions of dollars in the process. His interest in the hotel gone forever. Poof. 2. Before taking office, Trump could legally set aside control of the hotel to an outside attorney for the purposes of selling the property and his interest in the property, and he would not be involved in any way in the negotiation, the price, or sale, or effect over the transaction. We know he won't do that. Or 3. On the 21st of January, Congress could move to impeach President Trump from office for violation of the emollients clause the day after he's sworn in. Now let's tackle option 3 and why I believe it's Trump who is actually the stooge. He, as well as the rest of America, has possibly been set up for the biggest con game since the Sting. I believe the Republican Party knows all about this little setup. This is why they're being so quiet while it plays on the news. You hear Democrats talking about it, but Republicans, they say nothing. There's a small group, but a group nonetheless, who are lying in wait for a chance to pounce on Donald. There's still an anti-Trump faction in the Republican Party. Even though it's been effectively silenced, it's still there. But why wait, you ask? Why not scream now? To do so would force their hand, and Trump would possibly, though doubtful, divest his interest in the hotel, and their chance to be rid of him would go away. They want him conflicted on day one because they, in fact, want one thing to happen on the 20th of January. They want Mike Pence to take the oath of office for vice president, therefore putting him second in line for the presidency of the United States. And his successor in place, that's when they pounce. Stay tuned, boys and girls. This is one reality show you're not going to want to miss an episode of. Please subscribe to the channel, visit the blog at WTPamerica.org, drop by our Patreon page and become a patron. If you'd like to bitch at me about something, you can send me email directly at WTPamerica@hotmail.com. I probably won't answer, though I'll save it for a Q&A session later on. My name is Alan Garrett. This has been We the People. Resist.